A toxic person is someone no one wants to be around, yet there are times when you can be toxic without even knowing it. In fact, most people who are toxic don't even realize it. You, yourself, probably don't like being around people who are rude or downright annoying to deal with. That's why today we'll be taking a look at some of the biggest signs that you're becoming a toxic person, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether you are one of them and what you can do to avoid it. So make sure to give this video your full attention. If you're new here, subscribe for more social psychology videos and leave a comment below saying I subscribed. We'll try our best to reply to as many comments as possible. Let's start. What does it mean to be toxic? Toxic is a rather vague way of describing someone. It's generally agreed upon that toxic people are those who regularly hurt or negatively impact other people through their actions. Some people are toxic to the point of no return, but for most people, there are still some serious changes they can make in their lives by simply identifying their most toxic traits and working to improve themselves. With that said, let's look at some of the signs that you're becoming a toxic person. Number 10. You're sarcastic about everything. Sarcasm can be a great way to get a few laughs and joke around. However, certain people take their sarcasm to an annoying level. It's fine to make a sarcastic joke here and there, but when it's your default setting, everyone around you is going to get sick of it. This is something so many people don't realize. A lot of it can be attributed to people behaving similarly to their favorite TV or movie characters. Just because certain sarcastic TV characters like Chandler from Friends can make constant sarcasm look charming, in real life it's a completely different story. Sarcasm is supposed to be obvious. When it gets to the point where no one knows if you're being serious or not, it's a problem. That brings us to our next point. Number 9. You never take anything seriously. This sort of plays into our sarcasm point. A lot of people simply treat everything as if it's a joke. Even when the topic is rather serious, you'll always want to crack a joke to lighten the mood. Wanting to stay lighthearted all the time isn't necessarily bad, but if that involves turning everything into a joke, you need to stop. This will make people think that it's not even worth it to open up to you, talk to you, or ever have a meaningful conversation with you. There's always a time and a place for jokes, and trust us, you'll get plenty of opportunities in life to joke around. But if being lighthearted and fun-loving means you can't take anything seriously, it's toxic. Number 8. You're always putting up an act. As humans, we all want to be perceived in the best way imaginable. Oftentimes, to improve our impression, we tend to take things too far. You never want to be the kind of person who's always putting on a show or an act. This includes things like changing up your personality to impress someone, lying about yourself, and creating a false image of yourself. Sooner or later, people will start to know of the real you, and they'll trust you less. Instead of doing that, try to be your authentic self all the time. Of course, you should always try to be the best version of yourself, but try to do it without being disingenuous. Number 7. You constantly crave attention. As social creatures, humans have a tendency to crave attention. Wanting attention is one thing, but living off attention is a completely different story. One of the prime examples of a toxic person is someone who constantly craves attention. If you're like that, it's likely that you're trying to make everything about yourself, including yourself where you don't need to, and invading other people's personal, physical, or mental space. But you can't always be the main character. There are times when being the center of everyone's attention can be the worst thing in the world for you. What's worse is that people will think less of you. So instead of trying to be the main subject of everyone's attention, just know that it's okay to blend into the background every now and then. Number 6. You have a superiority complex. You don't need us to tell you why having a superiority complex is wrong. A superiority complex is essentially when you feel like you're better than everyone else. You're always in the right, and everyone else is always wrong. Nothing is ever your fault, and oftentimes you try to make people feel inferior to you. Everything about this is overwhelmingly toxic. If you do have this trait, it's one of those things that you have to completely wash out of your system. To fix this, you need to start reflecting on yourself more. Realize that it's okay to be wrong sometimes. Admit your mistakes to other people, apologize whenever it's necessary, and just try to be as humble as you possibly can. Number 5. You lack empathy. People are always going through something, yet there are so many people who fail to understand that. Toxic people tend to have no empathy for others at all. It's usually because they're so self-absorbed that they can't care about anyone other than themselves. If you're that kind of person, you need to make some serious changes and be more empathetic. To start, you should try to put yourself in others' shoes. It's easy to ignore other people's problems because, well, they're not your problem. But doing so also means that you will have a hard time relating to anyone, forming meaningful friendships, and more. If you're more empathetic, people will also see you as a nicer person and want to be friends with you. More importantly, they won't see you as toxic. Number 4. You're manipulative. Toxic people aren't always unaware of what they're doing. In fact, certain toxic people are experts at manipulating people and getting them to do what they want. The easiest way to do this is by emotionally manipulating people, making them feel bad for you so that you can take advantage of that. Sometimes you can manipulate people by lying to them or misleading them. The end goal is always for you to get the advantage. This is obviously wrong. Manipulating people is one of the prime examples of classic toxic behavior. There's no alternative to this behavior either. It's just something you have to stop doing before you burn down all of your bridges. Number 3. You're always jealous. One of the easiest ways to identify a toxic person is by seeing how they react to someone else's success. If you're the kind of person that tries to downplay other people's accomplishments, more often than not, it's due to jealousy. Jealousy can occur in all sorts of different ways, but regardless of why you're jealous of someone or something, what you need to really understand is that no one likes a person who's always jealous. In fact, they might even try to hide success from you since they know how you'll react. Instead of being jealous all the time, learn to congratulate people, be happy for them, and support them. Number 2. You think everything is a competition. A lot of people are competitive, and being so can actually help you make friends. But some people like to turn everything into a competition. This is not healthy for your relationships or friendships. You only feel the need to compete with others because you require validation. But there are so many other ways you can validate yourself. Whatever that is, it's important for you to understand that you don't need to beat others to be validated. If you do need to feel better about yourself, focus on some of the positives in your life. Number 1. You make people feel worse about themselves. And finally, the number 1 trait that almost every toxic individual has is the ability to make others feel worse about themselves. It's sort of a combination of everything we've mentioned so far in the video. There are simply so many ways you can do this. You can constantly point out other people's flaws, be rude to them, make fun of them, make them feel excluded, and more. Some people enjoy being rude, but if you're like that and you don't want to be toxic, then this is the one thing you need to stop. If you dislike someone, maybe it's better not to say anything at all. Final thoughts. Overall, there are lots of different ways you can become a less toxic person. It's best if you avoid doing everything we've mentioned in the list so far, but if that's not possible, at least try to keep it to a minimum. The important thing is that you should always realize you're being toxic to someone else. You can't ever be oblivious to your own toxicity. Always be self-aware and know that your actions have consequences. Ultimately, this won't only just help you become less toxic, but it'll also help you become a better person. So, are you a toxic person? What are some of the things that make a person toxic to you? Let us know in the comments below. Now you need to watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. It'll show you 12 signs people secretly find you attractive. Make sure to watch it now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.